Hello, welcome. I'm Michelle Swan-Young. Today I want to talk a bit about why I believe calm is such a crucial aspect of parenting, or I guess why it's so crucial that we cultivate a sense of calm as parents. So I want to give us 7 different reasons. I'm just going to go into them briefly, but I'm going to take a whole video to talk about each one of these 7 reasons, but not today. So in the future, come back and listen, and I'll talk a little more about each of these aspects and talk specifically about how they show up in our lives and give some examples of how things kind of work, and go into more in depth of why these different things make it so important for us to cultivate calm in our lives as parents. But first, I really want to talk a little bit more about what I mean by calm. And in my previous videos, I've talked about the calm response and the stress response in our bodies, and talked a little bit about the physiology of it and how we can use the stress response for good and harness its benefits. And I also believe that we really do need to be able to come back to a sense of calm. And by that, I mean a sense of reconnection to ourselves, especially like our deepest values and our truest selves, our best selves, who we want to be in the world, that reconnection. And along with the reconnection with ourselves, that also be a connection with the people who we love, our kids, and others as well, and then a connection to the broader humanity and even the earth or the universe, and this sense of purpose in something that's much bigger than our own individual lives. So when I'm talking about cultivating calm, in this sense, I mean that reconnection, that coming back to a place where we can use our whole brains, not just the fight or flight response system that we have, and not just the limbic area or the emotional section of our brains, but our whole brains, our emotions, as well as our logic and our executive functioning and our ability to reflect and pause. So I want to tell you the 7 reasons why I believe calm is so crucial in our lives as parents. And the first one is that being able to come back to that sense of calm helps us to make intentional actions rather than simply to react. So when we learn the tools that we need to be able to take a pause in a situation that has incited our stress response, and we're able to bring all of our brains back kind of online and engage all of them, all of the brain, we can consider what we actually care about in a situation and what we actually want for ourselves and for our children, for the other people we love, for the world. And we can take intentional actions to benefit those things that we truly care about. But if we are not in that centered place, if we're not in a place where we've come back to being connected to ourselves, then in a stress response where we're in that fight, flight, freeze response, then our immediate main goal is self-protection. So it's to make sure that we're safe. And when we do that, we often are defensive. And sometimes we will do and say things in that reactionary state that really don't enhance the things that we care about, that really don't actually help any of the things that we value. So the first reason why calm is so incredibly important as parents is so that we can make very intentional actions rather than simply react to situations, challenges, irritations, things that push our buttons, maybe things our kids would say or do. All right, secondly, being able to reconnect back to ourselves and to that place of calm means that we can live authentic and meaningful lives. We can connect back to who we want to be, and we can learn and engage some of those characteristics or some skills like empathy and like compassion. And when we're in that reactionary state, in that defensive state, our whole systems are really of stress, the defensive state of stress, our whole systems are really focused, sort of laser focused in on keeping us safe. But that immediate sense of safety, whether it's physical, emotional, any of those, relational, any of those things, often does not allow for us to empathize with other people and to dig down deep and find that compassion and that caring and that just a sense of respect and love for both the other person and ourselves. So we're able to really live meaningful and connected lives when we can access that calm. I want to be clear that coming back to a sense of calm or to a sense of connection doesn't mean that we're getting rid of stress. It doesn't even mean that we're massively reducing stress, but it does mean that we are able to come out of that reactionary state back into a sense of wholeness, the sense of using all parts of our brain, all parts of ourselves in a situation or to solve a problem. And that actually leads to the third point that I want to make, and that's that when we can access a sense of calm, we have so much more available to us in creative problem solving. So the stress response can be wonderfully fantastic in that it can really narrow our focus. And for some things that can be incredibly helpful. If you're taking a test, for example, being able to not have distractions but really narrow your focus can be really helpful. However, if you have time, even a few minutes, to try to work through a complex problem that has a lot of different perspectives, maybe different relational things that you need to take into consideration, different points of view, really you need a much broader perspective. And so coming back to that connection and that place of calm in yourself can really open up your ability to think outside the box for creative problem solving and take other people's input and their creativity into consideration as you're trying to solve a problem as well. That also brings us to the next reason why calm is so crucial, and that is that it opens the way for growth. So when we're problem solving, like I was talking about, oftentimes we'll find that we can discover that maybe we made a mistake, or we just didn't have as broad of a perspective about something. Maybe we were wrong in some way. And when we are reactive and defensive, and that stress response has been activated, if we're focused, not necessarily cognitively realizing it, but if we're focused on keeping ourselves safe, then we're not really opening up to the possibility of being wrong and the possibility of acknowledging that we've made a mistake. So in order for us to grow, we have to be able to see where maybe things aren't working quite the way that we'd like them to, see where we have the room for growth. And to do that, we have to acknowledge that we have made a mistake or been wrong in some way. So coming back to that connection and recalming ourselves really allows for and encourages growth and transformation in our lives, which will, of course, also encourage growth and transformation in the lives of our kids. All right, the fifth reason why I believe calm is so crucial is that it helps open us up to the experience of delight. So it's so easy for our brains to get focused on negative, just the way that they're wired, the way that they work. We can focus on the negative so easily, and especially when there's a stress response happening, we're looking for danger and we're trying to make sure that we're keeping ourselves and those we love safe. And so that makes a lot of sense. But when we can calm our bodies and come back to that connected place, then we can stop being so defensive and we can open up to the possibility of delight and of really enjoying whatever experience we're having. Even if it's a difficult experience, we can open up to having moments of delight and of being able to enjoy our kids and maybe enjoy things even if they don't go as we expected them to go, or if our kids maybe enjoy things that we weren't expecting, or maybe that we didn't even enjoy ourselves, but we can begin to open up to the experience of enjoyment and enjoy who they're becoming, even if that wasn't what we were expecting as well. All right, the sixth reason why it's so important for us to cultivate calm has to do with how we give. As parents, we are giving to our children and to other people so often and throughout our days, whether we are making meals or getting them to different activities or school or teaching them ourselves. I mean, there's so many different ways. Those are just a couple of the many ways. Whether we're helping them with their social skills or with friendships or connecting in different ways or learning, or just there's so many things that we do as parents to support and give to our children. If our kids are little, we might be changing diapers and just simply feeding them and being with them and keeping them safe. But when we are in a stressed out state and we are holding so much tension and disconnection from ourselves and our bodies, how we show up while we're doing those things is fundamentally different from how we show up when we are nourished and nurtured ourselves, when we have reconnected and come back to a place of calm. So the gifts that we give, even though we might still make the dinner or change the diaper, the way that we are able to be present while we're making the dinner or changing the diaper is fundamentally different. And you may have heard that people don't remember what you did for them, but you'll remember being the tone of our families, the tone of our energy and how we're existing in the world. When we're able to come and be with them in our giving in a way that is calm and that has come back to that connection with our deep values, we're able to give them a fundamentally different and more whole gift than when we might feel depleted and tapped out and exhausted and frustrated and even resentful about what we're doing. Now, I want to just say that if you do often feel depleted or overwhelmed and all of that, it's not a reason to think that you're a failure as a parent or anything like that, because there's always room for tiny, small shifts that will make a really big difference. And so please don't let this be a moment to be hard on yourself, but just a moment to actually become aware of how you might be showing up in the ways that you give, and maybe a little motivation to make just a really small shift in how you show up that can really make a big difference in your life and your kids' life as well. All right, the final reason why it is so important for us to cultivate calm in our own lives as parents is that we model how to live as an adult for our kids. As our kids are growing, they're looking to us and they're seeing how we live, and they're seeing how we structure our days. They're seeing how we take care of ourselves. They're seeing how we take care of our minds and our emotions and our attitudes, and they're seeing whether or not we're connected to our values, and they're learning what it means to be an adult in this world. And so when we are able to come back to a sense of calm, when we're able to have something that engages our stress response, but we're able to recenter ourselves and to reconnect, then we model for them what it looks like to come up against difficulties and go through adversity, and also cultivate that sense of calm and connectedness. And if we want vibrant, wonderful, thriving lives for our kids, then we need to show them and model to them what learning to have vibrant, thriving, calm lives looks like as an adult. All right. So again, none of those are reasons to be hard on yourself, or none of them are reasons to be unkind or think bad about yourself. They're all reasons, though, to really consider what could you do that's just a tiny small thing that's in your power and in maybe the next step forward that you could do that would help to shift and to cultivate more calm and connection in your life so that you can give your best gifts to your kids and so that you can live from your deepest and most authentic self, from your values, instead of from the irritations and the challenges of every day. If this video is helpful to you, I'd love it if you could press like, and if you want to, subscribe so that you can hear when I get a notification when I release a new video every Wednesday. Like I said, I'm going to be diving into each of these 7 areas a little more in videos coming up, and I'd love to see you there. So I hope that you take very good care and have a wonderful day.